LCS 6 has just come to an end, and believe it or not, Dragon Link was not the winner. This event was won by Invoked Dogmatika. What's going on, you guys? Slim here to talk about my boy Zach Stone's first place LCS number 6 win with Dogmatika Invoked. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell. You guys will be notified whenever I upload. You guys will also be notified when I stream over on Twitch. Link is in the description. As always, if you guys want to purchase any cards that you see here to build this deck, to try it out yourself, use my TCG player link in the description below. It helps the channel out and I appreciate it. And also, if you want to join my Patreon and further support the channel, the link is also in the description. Have access to a lot of really cool rewards as well as exclusive content over there. Every link I talked about is in the description below. You guys can check it out there. But anyways, shout out to you, Zach Stone. I'm so happy for you, bro. He just took down this entire event with the deck that no one thought could win the event. One of my personal favorite decks. You guys already know Dogmatika Invoked. His list is very different and I really like it. I want to give a shout out, not only to him for winning, but a shout out to my boy Ediception over on his channel called Hi I'm Ed. I'll have the link down below. He has a really in-depth interview with Zach, so you guys can get any unanswered questions that this video doesn't cover. You can get that answered over there, so definitely check that out. Also, thank you, Ed, for letting me use your awesome picture in the thumbnail. You guys already know that thumbnail is awesome. But yeah, so we're going to talk about why Dogmatika Invoked won LCS number 6. Like we do in all the other ones, we'll go over the deck and then talk about the reasons as to why this deck won. So we'll get into the main deck, of course. For the Dogmatika cards, there's, of course, 2 copies of Fleur de Lis, the 1 copy of Maximus in the main deck, the 3 copies of Ecclesia. That's it for the Dogmatika monsters. Of course, triple Alistair, All-Star, and triple Ash Blossom. That's it for the monsters. The spells, there's triple Nadir Servant, triple tactical talents, 3 copies of Potted Desires, 1 Upstart Goblin, 1 Terraforming, triple copies of Invocation, the 1 Called by the Grave, and 3 copies of Meltdown. And for the traps, there's a lot more traps in this deck than normal. Triple Impermanence, 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison, 1 copy of Trap Trick, 3 copies of Dogmatika Punishment, and the 1 copy of Shadal's Schism. So already looking at this main deck, you guys can see a lot of differences. As you guys can see, the only hand traps he's playing in the main deck are Ash and Impermanence. If you guys are wondering as to why, in the profile that he did with Ed, where he talked about the deck in depth, he talked about how he didn't want to have that many hand traps that basically fall into tactical talents. Obviously, Ash, if it negates something, they can change talents, but Impermanence, they cannot. Impermanence is arguably one of the best hand traps right now, and it's also able to answer a lot of cards, which I think is really important. He really built this deck to, be able to break the combo decks, be able to stop the combo decks. Opening Macabre Winda is pretty good. The combo decks really don't have an out if they're not main decking stuff like Imperm, or if they're not main decking cards like Dark Ruler. They can't really break the board. Also, if you notice, he's playing more traps, so he is able to negate more traps with Macabre than normal. So that's really cool. Other things you guys may notice in the main deck, he's still playing triple Desires and Upstart along with the tactical talents, which is something not a lot of lists have done before, but it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. You're playing a lot of 3-ofs in this deck, and not only that, these are your power spells. These are the spells that say draw 2, like literally they're +1s, they're crazy. Talents is an insane card. It has 3 insane effects, can also take Dragoon and you can just win off of that. Desires just gives you that extra +1 that you need. Upstart keeps it consistent. It's just very strong. In the traps, you guys will see he maxed out on Punishment. He feels the card is a starter card, which makes a lot of sense. Card is very strong, could just completely stop your opponent from playing. Ice Dragon's Prison is a card that I think is really underlooked, but is a card that is very strong. There was also a Subterra list that played it in the main deck and had a lot of success, made top 16. It's a trap card I don't think enough people pay attention to. It can literally be the finishing blow to your opponent's deck. Being able to take a monster, being able to banish stuff out of their grave is insane. So I think this card is huge. Plus the fact that he played the 1 copy of Trap Trick, it gave him extra copies of Impermanence, extra copies of Punishment, and extra copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. So that's absolutely crazy. But if you look at the main deck, it's awesome. It's very solid. I highly suggest you guys test this out because this list is very different from what we're used to, but you guys will see as to why this deck is now a championship winning deck. So it's awesome. On to the rest of the deck. We got the 2 copies of Macabre, we've got the Construct, we've got the Titanoclad, we've got the other invoked was Agodius. He actually chose to not play Purgatrio. He decided that the second Macabre was more important. If you notice, he's not playing Cyber Dragon Nova as we were doing in other lists. I guess there's just not enough of the mirror match to where you need to warrant that when you have cards like Elder Entity and other disruption cards like Skull Knight to just kind of punish your opponent from activating Maximus. the Apocalome, the Skull Knight for disruption, the Winda, of course, which is like your win condition. One thing he does say is Winda literally has the word win in it, so you're going to win probably when you summon Winda. 2 copies of Elder Entity NTSS. We've got the Omega, helps you recycle a lot of things. You know, he is not playing Gamma even in the side deck, but the beauty of Omega, you send it off Nadir's Servant or Punishment, and it can help recycle your cards later on, so that's very important. He does play the BLS link, one of my personal favorite links. I think this card is very strong. You actually are able to make it in this deck. You can make it off of Maximus or the Fleur de Lis and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. It probably doesn't come up as much as you think, but being able to make it against certain decks can be game ending, because this card can really out problematic cards. 1 Phoenix, very standard, and then the 1 card combo for the 1 card Makaba. Side deck, we've got the other 2 copies of Maximus. If you guys notice, he did choose to main it in the main deck. He talked about why that was important over on the Profile on Ed's channel. Just this card is very strong, it is very versatile, and you know, not a lot of people are still finding the room in their extra decks to compensate for Maximus. You actually can get this card off. It gives you so much advantage, and it's so strong that it warrants a reason to play it in the main deck or not. The 1 copy I think was very solid in the main deck, and then having the extra copies so that you could side them in if need be. The 1 Prankatops, 2 copies of Ogre, 2 copies of Droll. Droll was arguably one of the best cards in this tournament. Completely shuts down Dragon Link, completely shuts down this deck. This deck, the way it plays, you know, it's just a very quick 1-2 punch deck. Being able to droll your opponent and basically end their turn can just help you win the game, so it's pretty crazy. The 1 copy of Feathers Duster, of course, triple copies of Dark Ruler for all the combo decks, triple copies of Cyclone for back row decks as well as Eldritch, and the 1 red reboot for trap decks when you're just trying to OTK. Now, why do I feel this deck won the LCS? I think the deck won the LCS for one of the main reasons that Zach is just an amazing player. He's had multiple regional tops, regional wins. I actually got to play him back in the day, so I can tell you firsthand he's just a very good player. Not only that, he's been playing this deck for a while. We've actually talked about this deck. We were going to have a deck profile and an interview with him actually like sometime last week or even the week before, because he's been grinding through a lot of just online tournaments as well as just playing on Dueling Book and stuff like that with his deck, and he really just has a lot of success with it, and what do you know, he just ends up winning the LCS, which is crazy. So again, congratulations to him. I think this deck was also piloted not only so well, but it was built so well to counter the combo decks, like to be the anti-combo deck, like literally to stop the combo decks, just break their board and just, you know, put up a board themselves if they're going first that they can't break. Like they can't get past a Macabre, a Punishment, Ice Dragon's Prison, Impermanence, like all these just really good cards that have really good synergy in this deck. The consistency, the acceleration of this deck is also there. Nadir's Servant is a 1-card window, which is nuts. Like I said, Dragon Link, a lot of combo decks, if they don't have an out to window, they just can't play the game, and that literally is all you need. The deck only needs to summon a Macabre, a Winda, and if they can't play, you literally win the next turn with Fleur de Lis and you just OTK them. Triple Tactic Talons can literally take Dragoon after it negates, and you can literally just punch them for game by blowing up monsters and then attacking with that, Fleur de Lis, anything else, and it's literally game again. So this deck was very well built to go first or go second and literally just play, you know, into those boards, break those boards, and literally just, if it's going first, set up a board that the opponent can't beat. If you look at his traps, I would say that's another reason why he won this whole event, is that he decided to go not only with the Impermanence, but to add cards like Trap Trick that give you the consistency to see more copies of these cards. Trap Trick can literally become any of these traps that you need, and it's crazy. I think the inclusion of Ice Dragon's Prison is another amazing thing that doesn't get enough attention. Like I mentioned earlier, I think this card is very, very strong in this format, and I think you just need to experiment with it more and see like what it can do. Being able to take a monster from your opponent's graveyard, then being able to banish one is just so insane. He was talking about how good it was against Dinosaur. It's also really good against most of these decks in the format, and I think that the more people, you know, test with this card, the more they, you know, try it out in certain decks, they'll see just how powerful this card was. It was overlooked when the set was released, and now I think a lot more people are going to play it. I think the fact that he built this deck to where, you know, he sets up a Macabre, sets a bunch of real back row, and then basically stops what his opponent's doing completely is insane. And like I said, the fact that he had Macabre plus extra traps in the deck, he actually was able to negate traps where, I'll be honest, if you're playing a Macabre deck, it's very rare you get to negate traps. So I think that's just very, very solid. So overall, I think this deck was very well built. I think it was very well piloted, and I think it probably was the sleeper deck to win this event. I know people put the deck up there in like the top 5 decks of the format, but everyone thought Dragon Link, everyone thought maybe Dinosaur, everyone thought, you know, a combo deck is going to win, Infernoble Knight is going to win. And literally he said the only card he was afraid of going into was literally Smoke Grenades, since like it's the only card that can see your hand and rip a thing before you can even do anything. But I think overall this deck was one of the best picks for the event, and that's why he was successful. So again, shout out to you, Zach. Congratulations on becoming a champion. Long time coming. I think this deck is awesome. Again, in the description below, you'll have the interview and profile he did with Ed if you guys want more in-depth from him directly. Hopefully this video did help you guys out though. And shout out to Luxury Games for hosting another amazing tournament. You guys really are the best. You're doing everything you can to keep us playing in these crazy times. And I know all the players and myself really do appreciate it. But again, shout out to you, Ed, for, you know, sending me the stuff I need. And, you know, shout out to you, Zach, for winning. And hopefully you guys do enjoy. Smash that like button if you did. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.